Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who you'll never find sitting next to Vladimir Putin in the luxury box at Luzhniki Stadium. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. I would think not, but if I am, then you will be able to see the whites of my eyes from sheer terror.
I did feel bad for, I don't know his name actually, the ruler of Saudi Arabia, who was seated to Infantino's right,
yes.
a couple of seats across from Putin. Vladimir Putin with a lot of mocking-ish celebratory handshakes every time Russia scored.
Every time. And initially, the Saudi king, I think it was, would sort of, good-naturedly smile. Although maybe it was just the crown prince, because I imagine the king is probably not wandering around soccer stadiums. Who knows? But either way, he started off good-naturedly. And then by the end, we didn't even look at Vladimir Putin, which I thought was interesting. I also thought Gianni Infantino, that can't have been a fun way to watch. Maybe that's the downside to being the FIFA president.
A lot of the laughter and smiling was very nervous.
Yes.
Sitting in the middle, right?
I think it would be looking back and forth like, you both are more powerful than me, and I'm slightly intimidated, yeah.
So, it's our first review show of World Cup 2018.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows what's coming, we are going to review the first game of the tournament. Spoiler alert, I guess, but if you've already clicked this, then you hopefully have seen the game or know the score. It is Russia 5, Saudi Arabia 0. We're going to get into how and why that happened and maybe what it means going forward for both teams. Later today, we're going to preview Friday's games.
Yep.
There are 3 games on Friday.
Indeed.
So the World Cup really ramps up tomorrow. First, should we break down the opening ceremony, which turned out to be a Robbie Williams medley?
I was not here for it, but you're more than welcome to break down all of Robbie Williams' songs.
Let me entertain you?
Sure. That sounds like a song.
It was very late 90s at the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the
that's
soccer.
been a resounding theme. Will Smith rapping on the
right?
official song. Yeah.
Should we get to the game?
Let's do it.
Okay. I think
we'll beat Saudi Arabia there, but sure.
I think when we saw the starting lineups, you could tell the intent of both coaches because we really thought that Russia, that their preferred formation is a 3-5-1-1, which is a bit conservative. I still think it's going to be that against Egypt and Uruguay, but they came out a bit more attacking in this game.
They did. They came out in what we think was an approximate 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
You had Gullivan on the left wing. We thought he'd be a little bit more central and sort of like clogging up arteries, but then connecting passes. They did still have Ignashevich.
Like a rich butter.
Of course. Yeah, that's his nickname, actually. I don't know if you knew that. They did still have Ignashevich starting as the center back. He is 38 years old.
So 1 year younger than Rafa Marquez.
So, wow. So we did think there might be some vulnerability back there because he is, for his relative lack of pace.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much of a vulnerability.
And what I noticed as well is they went with Fernandez as the right back, who's the more attacking right back, and Samadov, who would have been the right wing back, ahead of him.
Yeah.
So they were really going for it down the right. And Zhirkov, the left back, gets forward as well. So I was really worried for Russia that maybe Ignashevich would get exposed, but it never, ever happened. Saudi Arabia never managed to offer a threat to Russia.
That's kind of the key thing, and the thing I would throw out there is that this was a good performance from Russia, but it was equally a very, very bad performance from Saudi Arabia.
Right, so Russia shouldn't get too excited about this 5-0.
I don't think so, because it is not as though Ignashevich put out fires and had a foot race that he won and put in some good tackles. They were really untested. Saudi Arabia had 0 shots on target, 6 shots off target. Compare that to Russia's 13, 7 on frame. 5 of those became goals. It shows you Russia were pretty efficient in front of goal. Saudi Arabia were just not in front of goal.
I want to say the best chance Saudi Arabia had was actually an Ignashevich defensive header that he put behind his own goal.
Yeah.
That's the closest they came.
That's it.
And I think Pizzi, the Saudi Arabia coach, I was very disappointed that he didn't start Moualad. Yeah, he's the most aggressively attacking player. I mean, he's a little bit selfish and dribbly and step-overy. They just didn't go with him. They went with Al-Shahawi instead, who's a much more hard-working... Al-Salawi, excuse me. Much more hard-working off the ball, like he'll try and hassle defenders kind of guy, but I don't think he's that useful in terms of attacking defenders. I know he scored a bunch in qualifying, but against these big teams, Al-Muwalad had more class to offer.
Not to go in too deep into the intricacies of Saudi Arabia's theoretical starting 11s, but I think the signal for me was that Al-Shairi, we think, was maybe deployed out wide in a 4-1-4-1
Number
shape.
8, yeah.
And if they had wanted to go a bit more creative, I think they could have done Moualad out wide, brought Al-Shairi central and taken out one of their more holding midfielders. I think the idea was to just get numbers in the middle, frustrate Russia, send them wide, and then deal with crosses.
So do you think Pizzi, the coach, regrets his decision to go more conservative? But what I'm saying is maybe in his mind, if he'd gone more attacking, maybe if he'd had two strikers, right? If Moualad had partnered Al-Shairi, then maybe it could have been worse. But I like the idea of roll your dice. Roll your dice and see what you can do, especially because Pizzi must know Saudi Arabia's defence is worrying, right? We called this out ahead of time. I don't like saying I told you so when we do previews, but I was very much into the idea of I've watched a lot of footage of these defenders doing our previews. Both of the Hossawi guys, Osama and Omar Hossawi, not related, but very similar defensively and similar in a bad way. In that they're panicky, make bad decisions.
And they go to ground. That's the big thing for me.
Go to ground. I've never seen a pair of international centre-backs spend so much time on their butts.
Yeah, and we don't want to necessarily jump straight to the second goal because the first goal has lots to offer.
Yeah.
But the second goal was a good reminder of what happens if you go to ground too early. Cheryshev sees that coming, but that was very common throughout the game. It was those two center backs making those diving challenges, the lunging challenges, and a lot of times it wasn't even necessary. It wasn't that like, oh, that cross is about to be delivered, I better put this challenge in. It was sort of like, oh, he's running at me, I'll go in for the slide tackle, and he goes right around me.
It was like they went right to panic.
Yeah.
Right? They need to read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. Number one rule, don't panic. I'm with you. So it felt like they were sort of scrambling and maybe expected the three in front of them, the three midfielders in front, to shield a bit more than they did. And it just seemed like what kept happening was Saudi Arabia would get, if and when they would win the ball back, those three midfielders would try to possess a little bit or would try to play wide into the channels, but would very regularly give the ball away.
Okay, so you've led us perfectly into the first goal. So the first goal...
I didn't mean to, but that's good.
It's scored by Gazinski, but the corner that Russia win that leads to the goal happens because Russia are attacking. I believe it is number 11, Zobnin, with a stray pass. Saudi Arabia intercept. It's number 14, Otaif, intercepts and is ready to launch a counterattack. And his pass is just off target. It's an off-target attempt to counterattack. Then Zobnin gets it back and he's able to drive at Saudi Arabia. Russia win the corner. So that's a perfect example of how even when Saudi Arabia got the ball back, they didn't have the quality or the good decision making to know what to do with it.
Exactly.
Fair?
Yeah, and then I think from that corner you see again the inexperience of Saudi Arabia. Corner comes in. It looks like it's headed towards the near post where Fyodor Smolov is making that near post run. I think it hits the player who's marking him, number 6, Al-Buraik.
It was actually Kutapov who ran to the near post. This is a Russian tactic. They will send big guys to the near post and serve that corner in sort of low and hard to the near post.
Yeah. So it's served in. I believe it was Al-Buraik is able to maybe not knowingly get ahead to it. I think he's just chasing the runner and it hits him. It goes out. Golovin very calmly collects with the chest, plays it to Zhirkov, gets it back, crosses in, goal for Gazinski, and it's 1-0. But if you look at what Saudi Arabia's defenders were doing, it is naivete across the board.
Naivete is not even the word. I think it's, what's the word? Negligent. I think is the best possible word for that Saudi Arabian defending.
Yeah.
So we wound it back. We looked at the corner kick. They're definitely man-marking, right?
Yep.
They are very much man-marking, man-to-man.
A version of man-marking, yes.
There's three guys in a zone on the edge of the 6-yard box to maybe attack the ball. So everyone's with a man. But as soon as that ball is cleared and Golovin gets it, they all just start to drift away from their men. The Saudi Arabian defenders at the back post drift away from their markers and just towards the ball into nothing. It's not like they didn't get out to catch everybody offside. They just started walking away from their men. And that's why Golovin is able to... I mean, it's a beautiful bending cross that Alexander Golovin serves in, but it's also an easy target, right? If you've got two big guys at the far post and you can just aim at them, you don't often get that chance in international soccer.
And I want to say, or
professional soccer.
And usually when you do, it's two big men at the back post, but maybe they're at least being marked by one player, if not two, if not three. And this, I mean, they're standing there. You can see, if you go back and watch, those two players are standing at the back post with their hands in the air, just screaming because they are completely unmarked.
I believe it's definitely number 8, Gazinski, because he's the one that scores. I think it's also number 10, Fyodor Smolov, who is Russia's, theoretically, their most dangerous attacker.
Yep.
Those two guys have been left alone at the back post. And can I give credit to number 17, because I actually quite liked his game, Tassir Al-Jassim, who's a central midfielder. He was the only one that spotted this was happening. He's the only one that checks his shoulders, sees these two guys at the back post, starts backpedaling, I think he just trips over his own feet in a panic.
That's true. Not quite true is that he was the only one who noticed. I forget who it was. It might have been Al-Salawi. There is a Saudi player at the top of the box right before the cross comes in who points at the two.
Yes.
To no one? He just points out that there are two people open, but does not himself go back to mark at all.
Pointing is not marking. No. Pointing is not defending.
And you go back to Saudi Arabia parting ways with Bert van Marwijk after securing qualification.
I forgot about this backstory.
And then they had, I believe, two other coaches before eventually getting PT.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is the case. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but you look at the way they defended this corner, and it has all the hallmarks of a team that maybe haven't had the time to practice corners, because two players, when the ball goes to Golovin and he plays it to Zhirkov, two players really step a good 12 yards. They do a full sprint to make sure they push to the top of the 18. Mm-hmm. A couple more drift, as you said. One stands back there. There's no cohesive plan. Same way when you were saying man marking, it is theoretically man marking in that they're all in the general vicinity of their opponent.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of that. There's a little bit of the grappling that we know, and maybe there's a little bit of the referee saying definitely don't do that or we're going to call it. But I didn't see that unified defensive approach from a set piece, and to me that speaks to inexperience and a lack of practice dealing with them.
And that's everything that was wrong with Saudi Arabia's defending through this game.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm being really harsh on Saudi Arabia, because I really did think there was a chance that they might surprise Russia, that they could get a result against Egypt suddenly. Maybe they found their way through. And just to watch them in this game, there is zero chance that they do that.
I want to go back to the defender sliding, panicking thing, because what I really like about the second goal, which is scored by Cheryshev, is it Denis Cheryshev?
Or Denise or something.
Cheryshev, who, by the way, had come on off the bench for Zagreb, right? His hamstring definitely went.
Yeah.
You saw him grab it. He's off. So Cheryshev comes in, makes the most of his opportunity. Think he's probably found his way into the starting 11. He spots that the right back, Al-Barak, and one of the Hassawis, I can't remember if it was Omar or Osama, as the ball comes to Cheryshev.
It was Omar who slid in. Yeah.
Omar and the right back.
Yeah.
Both slide to ground, I think before Cheryshev has even received the ball, and he very quickly adjusts and just lifts it over both of them, which is the perfect genius move to do, and then he's free to score.
Absolutely. I mean, but I thought at first that he took a touch and it hit off the sliding defender, and then he was able to collect it, which would still be a good goal. But the fact that he is able to, in a half second, read that those two players are sliding in, and the technique to be able to, he really does just lift it vertically. It's not it's just a little bit of a scoop. It's a good couple feet in the air, and it drops perfectly for him to then volley in at the near post. Can't really fault Saudi Arabia's goalkeeper when you've got a player with the perfect bouncing ball to rocket into the back of the net. Not much you can do about it from 6 yards out.
Denise.
That'll work. But I want to say, though, I know we got a little bit more to talk about with Russia, but so temper expectations a little bit if you are suddenly ooh, Russia, 5 goals, they're going to do this.
Yes.
I want, even to your point about when they win the corner that leads to the goal, they being Russia, it comes from them winning the ball back and then giving it away themselves, and then Saudi give it away.
Yeah.
And that was a very common theme for large stretches of this game, was both teams, maybe it was nerves and maybe it was just the enthusiasm of that first game of the World Cup. Maybe Russia will look a little bit more cohesive in the second game. But it felt like a lot of errant passing and sort of a lack of technical ability, except for a few players who maybe shone a bit brighter.
So Golovin shone the brightest,
I would say so.
I would argue, maybe with the exception of Cheryshev, because Cheryshev scored twice. He scored later on, he scores that long-range volley, which I feel like we shouldn't really analyse, because Saudi Arabia had just completely fallen apart at that point.
Which we kind of saw coming. We kind of saw that coming at halftime.
Golovin also has the, again, beautiful bending cross for the big guy. I've forgotten his name. Is it Zubia?
Zuba.
Zuba comes in and definitely looks like a target man. But Golovin is able to perfectly bend that ball onto the top of his head. Can I ask you, is there something special about the way Alexander Golovin, number 17, crosses the ball?
It's low but bending. I think he's got that delivery. I think we talked about it in the preview, or maybe it's just another player. Maybe it's the new common theme. But it's low, which means it's driven. You don't have as much time to react to it
Still
if you're
off
a defender
the floor,
or goalkeeper.
Right? Above head height, but not so high.
But not so high that a goalkeeper can come out and easily collect, or a defender can kind of backpedal, wait, then jump and clear it the way you would with a very lofted cross.
So that means it's fast, right? It's coming at you faster because it's not so lofted, going up and down in a big arc.
But it also, but it bends enough that it can still bait the defender or the goalkeeper into thinking, oh, I know where this is going to be, so they might misjudge it a little bit, and it creates opportunities for other players. In this case, he created 2 opportunities.
Oh, lovely.
And kind of 3, because he had the assist to the assist for the Cheryshev goal.
So Golovin, 2 official assists, the MLS assist for the first Cheryshev goal, and then he scores that free kick at the end. Great day for Alexander Golovin. I want to maybe stop on that second goal again, the Cheryshev when he lifts it over and scores. I think, weirdly, that goal's a good example of where Russia might not be the fine-tuned machine that you might think they are after winning 5-0. So number 11, whose name is Zobnin, it was his pass to Cheryshev, so he gets the assist, but that's actually a terrible ball that better defenders would have cut out.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he really could have hit that first time and slid it right across, and then Cheryshev is in on goal, can take a touch and hit it, and really has no one around him. But it's that Zobnin slows it down, and then even when he does hit that pass, it's like behind him, but also somehow in front of him. Yeah. It's a very strange, badly hit pass that Cheryshev does really well to save.
Yeah, he gives Cheryshev a chance to shine, but I think against a better team, that pass is just cut out, and the opposition is away. Their next game, I believe, is against Egypt. I think they'll have a lot more trouble with Egypt. Anything else on this game?
Just it will be interesting to me. I think you're still going to start. You in this case is Cherchesov, the Russian manager.
Not me. I'm not in charge.
I'm assuming he will still start Smolov, but it will be interesting if maybe Dzyuba has earned his spot, because he looked just like a constant nuisance for the defense to deal with, and scored a goal of his own. Whereas Smolov, I think, didn't have as strong of a performance on the day.
Right? He was hyped up a lot coming into this tournament. I've watched a lot of footage of him. I think he's a really, really good player, really bright and eager player who will constantly be running around. Weirdly, I think against better teams where movement and showing for the ball and making the most of tiny spaces is maybe he'll be more useful in those games, even if he's not scoring. And I think Dzyuba's just going to be the guy you bring in to aim the ball at for the last 10, 20 minutes or so.
That makes sense. Because, with Jagoev going down, I was going to say, like, maybe you change it up and do 2 for... You don't. You put in Cheryshev and let him score more goals.
Denis Cheryshev is just going to replace Jag, because hamstring injury, people should know, it takes longer than a week to recover from a hamstring pull, right? Usually a lot longer. And most of the time when you've pulled your hamstring, you think it's healed. And then you hit full sprint.
And then it goes.
And you tear it again. I'm not sure we see all that much of Alan Jaguev for the rest of the tournament, because hamstring injuries are so hard to deal with.
Yeah. All right. Well, we shall see. But congratulations to Russia, a 5-0 win that puts them in a decent position.
Top of Group A. Yeah. Top of Group A right now.
I'm guessing they'll stay there after the first full round of matches.
Okay. Final thing I want to say, I'm very happy for the coach, Russia's coach, because you remember the whole thing about him being very unpopular because he sort of just did things his way and he was very stubborn. So if things went wrong, he would have been in a lot of trouble with that stubborn reputation. But he was doing things like bringing Dzyuba in, and Dzyuba scores a header within 5 minutes. Bringing Cheryshev in for Jaguev, Cheryshev scores that beautiful lifted up and volley goal. It's a day he will cherish because he got everything right.
Yep. Yeah. There we go. Well done, Cherchesov. Well done, Russia. Commiserations to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Oh, Saudi Arabia, best of luck in the next games. I fear for what's going to happen with them. Yeah. All right, before we move on to previewing Friday's games, 3 games to preview on Friday, today's Total Soccer Show is sponsored by Away Days, a very popular sponsor on the Total Soccer Show. Away Days do the mystery kits. Taylor, please tell our listeners about the mystery kits, especially new listeners who might not know about it.
Yes, so basically the premise is you pay, I think it's $25. You get...
Unless you use the TSS discount,
we'll
but more on that later.
We'll get to that in a moment. But you basically, you do that, they send you a jersey, but it's never going to be like one of the mainstream, like huge teams around the world. It's going to be a lesser known team, so that if you're trying to like build a jersey collection, find a new team in a new country, maybe find a random team to then start supporting. That's the way to do it.
It could be a Swiss team, it could be like a second tier J-League team, it could be absolutely anything. People have been, because people share it with us on Twitter, right? When they open it and find out what the jersey is, people are very excited when they get their mystery kit for $25 from Away Days Football.
They also have the mystery pack, which is a mystery kit and a mystery jacket, which we think is like a training top from one of those teams.
And a mystery football accessory. Which I can only imagine what that could be. I don't know what it could be, but it sounds exciting.
So I think we're going to try the mystery kit, right? We're both going to get one?
Yeah, it feels like we've been advertising Away Days Football for a long time, and we've never actually done the mystery kit ourselves. But yeah, I'd love to just send your size, and they send you a jersey. So we'll do one each,
and
then we'll maybe share with listeners. There's another Away Days football ad later in the World Cup. It will arrive by the time of that. So we'll on the next ad, we'll share with listeners which mystery kits we got. It better not be Wolves, because I'll be offended that they're
second tier,
listed as a mystery kit worthy team.
Agreed. And then if you don't want a random jersey, but you do want some fashionable clothing, they've also got lots of accessories of their own. They've got shirts, they've got long sleeve shirts, they've got sweatshirts. I believe they've got nice hats too.
There is a brand new line of T-shirts that they have just started selling as of a couple weeks ago, with the Away Days football logo right on there. Yeah.
But with all of that, if you use the promo code TSS, you can get 15% off any order.
15% off anything at awaydaysfootball.com with TSS. Thank you to Away Days Football, an independent American soccer clothing brand, for sponsoring today's show.
Well done.
See how I got the tagline in there?
It was a good job by you. Good job by you.
Like a pro.
So we've got 3 games to preview tomorrow. Before we get to do that will happen tomorrow. Before we get to do that, though, I did want to say, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, and our plan is to review games, but then make very clear that there will be a gap in between each of the reviews, so that if you've maybe only seen one game that day, you don't want everything else spoiled, you can still listen to part of the show.
So we'll give an actual spoiler alert warning, right? And we won't list scores or who's won in the episode titles or in the show notes. We will put timestamps in the show notes, but we'll be very careful not to spoil games, because we're aware these games are happening during the day. You're going to sneakily watch it at work, or you're taking days off, or something like that. But a lot of people, I think, will be DVRing the games and watching in the evening. So we won't spoil it for you. We promise.
We'll do our best.
We'll do our very best. We'll do our very best.
We will, and we will do our best not to spoil the first game of tomorrow, 8 a.m., Fox Sports 1, Egypt v. Uruguay.
Egypt v. Uruguay. This is the other game
Uruguay.
In Group A is Egypt versus Uruguay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way we're previewing these is what to watch for.
Yep.
So maybe let's just rattle through a couple each, Taylor.
Sure.
What should people be watching for in Egypt versus Uruguay?
I'll start with Egypt, and I would say you should be watching for them to be defensive. I think that's going to be their approach. It does seem at time of recording, Egypt's manager came out and said that Mohamed Salah should be fit to play. If he starts, or even if he doesn't start, I think one of the players to keep an eye on is Trezeguet, is what he goes by. Because I think if Salah starts, then that's where Uruguay's defenders are going to be focused, which means Trezeguet will be free, or a little bit freer.
I'm not sure Uruguay are dumb enough to only think about Mohamed Salah, but I think maybe viewers of the game should be aware that Mohamed Salah is not the only threat, right? So Mohamed Salah is on one wing. He'll probably be on the right wing with his left foot, doing his Mohamed Salah very Leo Messi-esque thing, right? With his long sleeves pulled over it, with the thumb holding it, dribbling with his left foot from the right wing.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But on the left wing, Trezeguet will be using his right foot to dribble infield in an almost mirror image type thing. So be aware of both wings. Don't just watch one side of the screen.
But if that's definitely true. But if Mohamed Salah cannot play, then the expectation is that Trezeguet will move to that right wing, and it will be Ramadan Sobhi coming in on the left wing.
Stoke City infamy?
Except I think he has since been sold.
Ooh,
but
really?
Maybe that's in the works.
Because he doesn't want to play in the Championship?
That's a distinct possibility. But I think either way, you're going to see Egypt being very defensive and maybe looking to break through one of those 3 players we've just said, or maybe just hoofing it long to Koka, who'll be up top, and then he'll be trying to play it off into the channels for one of those runners.
Yeah, so Egypt have a centre forward, Koka, who is not really there to be the main goal threat. He's there to service the ball to Salah and to Trezeguet. One thing I'll say about Egypt, they're going to play a 4-2-3-1 type formation. The fullbacks will not get forward. They will not expose themselves. They are very conservative, so don't expect them to get too far forward.
But then the question is, will they be able to stay compact and defensive against a team like Uruguay, who have so many different attackers?
Oh, they sure do. Okay, so here's what I'm looking for, and here's what I think people should watch for with Uruguay. They have the 2 star names up front, Edison Cavani and Luis Suarez. That pair works beautifully together. Cavani works hard to pull defenders all over the place, making all kinds of runs. Luis Suarez works hard to exploit the space that Cavani has opened up. They are a real partnership in terms of pulling defenses apart and then getting Luis Suarez in on goal. So keep an eye on their teamwork.
And I would say keep an eye on...
Best of luck, Hegazi and co.
I'm aware of how pert happily this is about to sound. Keep an eye on what their team does in this game. Because in the past, I think Uruguay have been a team that had very good defenders, very good attackers, and a so-so midfield. And I think this would have been the type of team that would have caused them huge problems. Because if
there's a lack of creativity in central midfield,
exactly.
Right?
You've just got like 2 or 3
kind of just had
threats.
Hard workers in midfield, but no creativity.
Exactly. But I think it will be very interesting to see how this new midfield, this young but very talented midfield, we think it will be the Arrasqueta is how I'm going to pronounce that one on the left, maybe Vecino and Bentancur in the middle, and Nandez on the right. Some combination of those, might be a few other names in there.
Vecino and Bentancur, 2 different players,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Here's one thing I think people should watch for. Bentancur's posture.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, man. Yeah, because I think of him as a player who stands very rigid. Yep. He's like not rigid in terms of stiff, but just sort of like it's that straight back general of like he's directing play. You don't see him like sliding all over the place and losing it. It's just very calm in possession.
His chiropractor gives him the all clear every time.
Yeah, I like it.
Look for Bentancur in the middle. See if he can pull Egypt's rigid midfield apart. How about that? I would also be looking at their central defenders. Yep. So Salah and Trezeguet may be dribbling at them. In the centre of defence, they have that Atletico Madrid partnership, right? It's Diego Godin and Jimenez, who play together for club and country. Older guy, Godin; younger, Jimenez. Jimenez has the legs, Godin has the head, literally to think things through and also head things away.
I'm really excited for this game. I hope Mohamed Salah is back, because it's always nice to see 2 teams play each other at full strength.
Yep.
But I'm also very excited because I really do think this Uruguay team can go very deep in the tournament. Very, very deep, I would say. So a strong performance to start would do a good job of emphasizing that possibility.
So that game again is Egypt versus Uruguay. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, and that is on Fox Sports 1. That's your first cup of coffee game.
Yep.
Your second cup of coffee, it's going to be our 3rd or 4th, right, here in the Total Soccer Show studio.
Most likely.
Is on main Fox channel.
Yep.
Am I saying this correctly? Do you call it local Fox affiliate? Is that maybe what it's
You can just say Fox.
Big Fox.
Big Fox.
It's on Big Fox. It's the first game of Group B, correct me if I'm wrong, Morocco versus Iran.
You are not wrong.
You might be thinking this game isn't interesting because you're not that familiar with the players, unless you've been listening to the Total Soccer Show these last few weeks. I think this game's very interesting.
I think it's very interesting for a number of reasons. The big one being contrast of styles. Yes, so Morocco, I think we talked about this.
You remind me of Bart Simpson when they're doing their reports on countries. He was Peru and he hadn't done his homework, and he said the best thing is to say they're a nation of contrasts. And I think he passes the class.
I mean, yeah, that works. That's a pretty good way to describe every country. But in this case, I think you may still see some of that lazy analysis of they're both going to be defensive. They're both going to sit off. Neither one's going to want to commit numbers forward.
One of them is that way. The other one is not.
Correct, and that's what I mean when I say this is going to be a delicious contrast. Because Morocco, you went Morocco will not be defensive. I think they're going to try to possess. I think they're going to try to press.
Yes.
And I think they're going to do that as a unit. Again, this is not the team of Adel Tarabt just doing individual things and then getting frustrated when everybody else isn't applauding his individual performances. This is a unit that will work together.
It's a pressing unit and a counter-pressing unit that is determined to win the ball back off of you. So don't listen to the lazy analysts who see that they've conceded very few goals and think that they just sit back. The reason they've conceded very few goals is because they wreck attacks before they even start.
Indeed.
Morocco is a dangerous machine.
And a big part of that, and something that you can keep an eye on, is what their center backs do. Because a couple times in qualification, in the highlights that I watched, was the center backs would try to either bring the ball out of the back themselves or move the ball forward. And if they were dispossessed or if they passed the ball and maybe it was intercepted, you would see that center back continue to step and put that player under immediate pressure. It's not, oh no, I've made a mistake and backpedal. It is try to put them under and win the ball back right away.
But the whole team does that, right? That's the whole counter-press thing is anytime a Morocco attack breaks down, they come after you and win it back, and then they start moving the ball around quickly. They have a lot of really exciting attackers. You mentioned those defenders. Those are somewhat famous defenders. Mehdi Benatia, who's played for Bayern Munich, he's now at Juventus, am I correct?
You are.
And of course, everybody knows Romain Saiss because he plays for a Premier League team, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Of course, everyone knows him for that.
So if people don't know, I'm a Wolves fan, so I'm very excited to see Romain Saiss play at the World Cup for Morocco.
Yep. And then in terms of other players and names to look out for, Achraf Hakimi is their left back. He plays right back for Real Madrid. I expect
he doesn't start for Real Madrid, but
he occasionally plays right back for Real Madrid.
But I think he has a future there, right?
No, I think quite the opposite, actually. I think he has indicated he is looking for a move because he doesn't feel like he was maybe prioritized as much. I believe he's out of contract at the end of the month. So unless they've offered him an extension, maybe Lopetegui, now that he has a month free, is going to come in and talk to Hakimi.
More on that later. Yeah. Remind me again of the fullback's name?
Ashraf Hakimi.
Ashraf Hakimi.
But I think is a more than capable defender who's also capable of getting forward and helping kickstart some attacks.
Is it fair to say he's rapid? Because to me, when he gets forward, he looks like a regular old fast winger. Doesn't look like a fullback. So very modern attacking fullback.
I think so. And especially deadly is the fact that he will likely start, as I said, on the left side. The other player who will be on that left side is Hakim Ziyech, who we both like quite a bit.
Are we sure he plays on the left?
I think he will for them, yes.
Okay, so Hakim Ziyech.
I think it will be Ziyech, Belhanda, and then Amrabat across that front attacking three.
Okay, all right. Ziyech. Let's talk about Ziyech. Okay. Ajax player.
Yep.
He's impressed everybody in the Eredivisie these past few weeks. Here's a thing to look out for. What to watch for with Ziyech is he is going to take, I'll almost guarantee, he will take a sneaky set piece.
Yep.
He loves to line up like he's going to cross a free kick, and then bang, he shoots it at the near post. I wouldn't even be surprised if he sneaks a goal that way.
Yep.
So look out for the crafty Hakim Ziyech.
Yep.
He's the most Adelta-wrapped player, the closest they've got to an Adelta-wrapped show-offy type
There we go. I was going to say
player.
from a talent standpoint.
Yes,
maybe
from a
not
talent
from
standpoint,
a mindset.
but I think a better attitude in terms of teamwork ethic. That's why he's able to be part of that pressing team.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've already done our specific predictions in our larger group previews. I will add, I'm going to tack on one here. I'm going to predict that you will see Nordin Amrabat, while contesting a ball, trying to either earn a corner or keep it from going out for a goal kick, will absolutely knock over an Iranian player. So that is going to happen.
Amrabat has played for Watford, right? People might recognise him. Shaved head. Looks kind of like a very short bouncer. You would hire him to be the doorman at your club, right? He will muscle his way past someone. And you think he's going to wreck someone?
I think he will.
On his way to winning a corner?
Or
just giving away a free kick.
Or trying not to let it go out for a goal kick. That's sort of it's rolling out of bounds, the defender's there, the attacker's there, they kind of body. Amrabat's going to knock somebody over.
I feel like Amrabat tries skills first, and then if that's not quite working, he just tries hustle and muscle and bustle.
I think that's fair.
See which one of those works.
Who else should people be keeping an eye on from Morocco?
There's one guy I'm not sure he's going to start, but I think he'll enter the game at some point. He's a teammate of Weston McKennie's at Schalke. He's only 20 or so. His name is Amin Harit. Every time I've seen a 20-minute spell from him in a Schalke game, he looks clever and technical and full of ideas. So if Amin Harit comes off the bench, keep an eye on this young man. He might even be Weston McKennie's midfield partner next year at Schalke. So cheer on Weston McKennie's buddy.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I just want to know how it is that I get made fun of for always mentioning Manchester United, and yet I feel like you fit in Weston McKennie into every single show somehow.
What can I say? What can I say?
But yes, Amin Harit, keep an eye on him. Darryl, what should we be keeping an eye on when it comes to Iran?
Direct balls, right?
Yep.
So
so should Morocco's defense as well. Yep. Pay attention to this.
Yes, so Carlos Queiroz has Iran playing very defensively, and then when they get the ball back, they are not interested in building a move, passing it around. They are not here for the aesthetics. They play long, direct balls to Sadar Azmoun.
You've been so excited about Sadar Azmoun since we talked about them.
Oh, Sadar Azmoun is perfect for Iran's game plan. Direct balls to, I think he'll wear number 20, big guy. He will win the ball. He'll either flick it on to one of his wingers or he'll bring it down and do some Zlatan stuff. He does a lot of
some Zlatan stuff.
Some extender leg martial arts, weird flicks type things, but keeps hold of the ball. And what he'll do, Sadar Azmoun, once he wins that ball or flicks it wide, he gets it out to a winger, then he gets into the box, and then he gets himself on the end of a cross. And Sadar Azmoun, I think he's 6'1". He's not one of these 6'10" strikers, right? But he jumps in the air, he hangs there, and then he hammers the ball home. He is wonderful at finishing with his head. So watch out for Sadar Azmoun.
And if he's holding up play, or maybe if Iran are trying to break, they win possession back near the top of the box and somebody is dribbling it out, it's probably going to be Ali Reza Jahanbakhsh. He's a fast, dribbly right winger playing for AZ in the Eredivisie.
He has got early Cristiano Ronaldo moves. You know the Ronaldo chop?
Yep.
The Ronaldo chop and a lot of those quick changes of direction that Ronaldo used to do in his mid-career Manchester United days. When he'd sort of figured out how to do it efficiently. Jahanbakhsh, is that correct? Has got a lot of that. But here's the thing. I took a look at a lot of his crossing. He is weirdly not a great crosser of the ball. When he tries to do the Golovin we were talking about earlier, that sort of whip and bend, I've seen him try a lot of those and they don't reach their target or they're off target. So he'll often resort to the straight up, I'm going to call it like a sand wedge. He just sort of chips the ball straight with backspin. Maybe he sort of like stops before he strikes all the way through and the ball just chips high up in the air, which would be ineffective, right? Except he's got Sardar Azmoun ready to hang up and hit those balls, right? So look out for that connection. Jahan Bakesh hitting a chipped cross to Sardar Azmoun.
How many times have you played golf in your life?
3.5. Okay. There's the half. Honestly, there was one where
I was like, how does he know what a sand wedge is?
There was one where I went golfing when I was young, and my mum said, "Oh, take your granddad's old clubs with you." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do that." And I thought it'd be cool, like playing my granddad's golf clubs, and they broke on the golf course because they hadn't been cared for. It'd been a long time.
And that was it.
So that was why half game. Yeah, okay. 3.5 games of golf.
But you remember the sand wedge and how it compares to a cross.
Yeah, I mean, Jahan Bakesh's crosses look like a sand wedge.
All right.
Didn't you mention earlier that the way they match up with Morocco?
Yep.
So do you mind if I run a bit here? So we said Morocco are going to press, right? We said earlier. That's sometimes very difficult to play out of. But if you're willing to just go direct to a big guy, you can bypass all the presses. You just lift the ball over their head to Sardar Azmoun. So Morocco could get themselves in trouble if they overcommit to pressing Iran and Iran go direct. Suddenly Morocco in trouble. Indeed. So that's why I think this is a great game and a game of contrasts.
All right. There we go. My final thing I wanted to say about Iran is just, as I said in our preview, by all accounts, the fitness in the Iranian, the Gulf League, I think it is not necessarily the strongest. And Ashkan Dejaga, that's how I'm pronouncing that, their number 10, has played, I think it was like 3 club games in 2 seasons.
I know his name. He's somewhat famous, right?
Yes.
People know Ashkan Dejaga. And is that why he's still in the national team despite not playing many club games?
I believe it's a case of he is one of Carlos Queiroz' guys. It's like the manager trusts him to get the job done.
He's the Giassi Zardes of Iran.
Yes, but a less fit Giassi Zardes. So I think there's also a chance, keep an eye on what happens after like the 75th minute or so, because that's when I think you'll see Iran get tired. And the most recent comparison would be the U.S. playing France and how you can play this very defensive, rigid system or this very defensive system, but as you get tired, your mental connections slow down a little bit, and maybe you're 2 steps behind where you were in the first half. So just see if there are more opportunities in those last 15 or so.
So you're suggesting goals for Morocco in the last 15?
That is what I have predicted previously. So
that's a thing to
I would
watch
like
for.
my prediction to come true.
So that game again is Morocco-Iran. That's 11 a.m. on Big Fox. All right, we've nerded out. We've hipstered out. We've soccer hipstered out with Egypt, Uruguay, Morocco, Iran.
Nothing else to talk about.
Except the big game. I think will get most people's attention. 2 p.m. on Big Fox. It is Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo, etc. And Spain, who are now the story of the World Cup because of the Lopetegui sacking. We don't need to get into that. If you want to hear all about the Lopetegui Spain coach sacking, you can listen to yesterday's show. Yeah.
But what we can get into is one of the things that I'm very curious about Spain is what happens if things go wrong. So Hierro came in.
Fernando Hierro.
Thank you.
Who we didn't mention yesterday. He's a Real Madrid legend who also played for Bolton Wanderers and had the embarrassment of Bolton Wanderers fans chanting at him, "Who are you? Who are you?" So opposition fans chanting, "Who are you?" because they did not know who Fernando Hierro was.
Well, I doubt Spain will have that problem.
No.
Kind of a well-known squad. But I am curious. Hierro has come in and said we're basically going to do what we are already going to be doing.
Yep.
But I do wonder what happens if, say, Portugal happened to get a goal in the first 15 or 20 or the first half, or if Spain just don't look that tight or that connected as they should. I do wonder if he has the familiarity and knowledge to say, oh, this is the change we need. Oh, this needs to adjust.
And didn't we talked yesterday about Gerard Piqué sent out that tweet that was essentially, hey, University of Michigan did it in 1989. They fired their coach and got a new coach in right before they were champions. And we thought maybe, obviously there's a thing of trying to knit the locker room back together. But wasn't there a Sergio Ramos quote today where he basically let people know that things were getting rough?
Yeah, he said, I think it was something like, it's the start of the World Cup, but this feels like a funeral parlor. And then there are reports that he had to be separated from the head of the Spanish FA.
Rubiales.
Yeah, Ramos
Spanish...
by Piqué, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Ramos is the captain of Spain and centre-back. He's a Real Madrid player, which is where Lopetegui's going, I guess, in the summer. And he had to be separated from Rubiales.
Evidently.
That's bad locker room stuff.
That's bad locker room stuff indeed, which is usually the domain of Diego Costa. and that's a thing I think you pointed out, which I suddenly it made me go from like I'm very excited about this game to I'm so incredibly excited, is the fact that Diego Costa will likely start, or at least we think he'll start for Spain.
Yep.
And that means he'll be going up against Pepe.
Yes.
So Pepe versus Diego Costa.
This is Alien versus Predator stuff.
I mean, except more vicious. Yeah.
More sneakily vicious, right?
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of off the ball, pushing and shoving, trying to get the psychological edge on each other. Yeah. I wish there was just a Diego Costa Pepe cam.
What's the Dr. Seuss, like the better butter bread, whatever it is?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
It wasn't big in England.
Really? Are you being serious? Are you mocking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
But it's the parable for like the arms race where it starts off small about like the differences and you build and you build and you build. That's what I would expect this one to be. It's like starts off with just like a little elbow, then a little elbow back, then a slightly stronger elbow, and then eventually it ends with someone being punched in the face.
So yeah, Diego Costa versus...
Oh, that's going to annoy me. Yeah. Butter side up versus butter side down, Daryl. That's the question.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely look into that. Tony.
Okay. I don't think you will.
So I also want to talk here about a contrast of styles.
Yep.
So Spain basically plays like Morocco, right? Really, Morocco plays like Spain. But Spain moves the ball around quickly, keeps it on the deck, right? And then they press you high. They press you really high. They counter press. They come after you. They're going to, just because Lopetegui's gone, they're still going to do that, right? Portugal, on the other hand, if you remember Euro 2016, Portugal do not really commit men forward. Portugal like to sit back, protect. Pepe's an old man at this point, right? He's 35, 36. Bruno Alves is his centre-back partner, probably. He's also in his mid to late 30s. They really protect those guys by having a 4-1-3-2 where there's always defensive midfielders in front of those two centre-backs. And then they don't, when they go, they don't get stretched out. They're not willing to commit too many numbers forward because they're scared Pepe and Alves might get in trouble. So what they end up doing is just getting forward as far as they dare to go with their wingers, then cross the ball into the box for Cristiano Ronaldo and Andre Silva will be alongside him. And it's all about serving crosses into those two guys.
But you will get Rafael Guerrero and Cedric Suarez. You will get them getting forward too, the fullbacks for Portugal.
But only to get crosses in. Exactly. Then they have to go back.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's more about like the midfielders.
Get your cross in, get back.
Midfielders are not authorised. They do not have licence, the Portuguese midfielders, to create and knock the ball about and dribble and be creative in the central areas on top of the box. It's all about just keep sending the ball wide and crossing it in, sending the ball wide and crossing it in. So the key battle in this game, the fun one, is Diego Costa versus Pepe, right? The Alien versus Predator one, or the Dr. Seuss one. The key battle will be Cristiano Ronaldo and Andre Silva versus Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué. And if we can get Ramos and Ronaldo challenging each other in the air, I would pay all the money to watch that battle all day.
It would be very interesting, especially because you know they go against each other all the time in practice. But I also feel like they're both so ruthlessly competitive that you know they have that file stored away in their brain of like Ramos weaknesses, Ronaldo weaknesses. And they've been just evaluating over the last 2 years.
So they both open the file and it says empty.
Hair gel, I think. That's what it says. Muss his hair.
Holding onto trophies.
I'm surprised no one has ever done that to Ronaldo, just messed his hair up. I feel like that would be a problem. But I will say the other interesting thing when it comes to those Spanish center backs is that we saw them fairly regularly in qualifying and in friendlies getting forward, being involved in the attack, and not just on set pieces.
PK and Ramos.
You'll see like Jordi Alba will bomb forward and cross it in, and suddenly there's Sergio Ramos at the back post or Gerard Piqué at the near post. And so it will be like, so watch for the center backs getting forward, especially if Portugal are being a little bit defensive.
Just going to wonder, right?
But then also that leads to, if Portugal are going to counterattack and look to cross, and one of those center backs is caught out of position, that's a vulnerability that Portugal are certainly situated to exploit.
That could be the source of a goal. If you'll indulge me a little bit, you mentioned Jordi Alba. I think to the casual soccer fan, he's maybe not as noticed. I think he is key to how Spain plays. Jordi Alba is the left back. He's the Barcelona left back. But he gets forward so often. He's almost the main attacking threat down the left. Right? He'll combine with Iniesta or probably Isco or David Silva will be on the left for Spain.
Isco would be my guess.
Jordi Alba will be out there combining 1-2s and getting in and getting those low balls and those crosses in. Jordi Alba, key man to watch for Spain.
All right, and then there's this guy David De Gea. He's pretty good in goal.
In goal, yes, I've heard he's just fine.
Okay,
yeah. What else? Carvajal, the right back, was struggling with an injury from the Champions League final. Is that right? He got injured in the Champions League final. It'd be interesting to see whether he's fit enough to start or not. He's also very important to what Spain is doing.
Because, Alvaro Odriozola, as we talked about yesterday, has not impressed in his stints at right back for Spain to the extent that he was yanked at halftime. So if Carvajal can't go, it will be interesting to see if they do go with Odriozola or if it is maybe Nacho.
Nacho gets shunted out there again.
Yep.
They'll say, do it again, Nacho. Go on. Go and fill in over there. Check your blood sugar. All good? Yeah, go on. Go play right back. Nacho representing diabetes at World Cup 2018. My hero.
I wonder if there is any more. We'll have to research that, but there will be time since we've got.
There would have been 2 if Jordan Morris had made it.
That's selfish by Jordan Morris. But we've got time because there are many, many, many more games to discuss in this World Cup.
Yeah, there are. So, Taylor, we will be back tomorrow. We will review these games, right? Egypt, Uruguay, Morocco, Iran, and Portugal, Spain.
Let's do it.
With spoiler warnings, so no one can get caught. It's safe to listen to the Total Soccer Show. We give you a safe space in between telling you what happened in the game.
Indeed.
And then we'll preview Saturday's games, which I actually don't know off the top of my head, but I know there's 4 of them.
There are several.
Saturday's a busy day. All right, listeners, thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the Total Soccer Show. We want to get up those iTunes charts, up those Stitcher charts during the World Cup, so more and more people can find the Total Soccer Show. We're an independent show, so we don't have the sort of broad network of, I don't want to name any, but, shows that are made by TV stations. So help the independent show succeed this World Cup. Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk about World Cup 2018 with me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we will be back again tomorrow.